Jonathan Cahn is the best-selling author of a series of prophetic thrillers. His latest is called the Josiah Manifesto.
Is it possible that behind the events transforming our nation and your life is a mystery that goes back to ancient times? Does this mystery reveal what the future holds? Even a blueprint to survive, to stand, and to prevail in view of what is coming in the days ahead. In his newest blockbuster, The Josiah Manifesto, the ancient mystery and guide for the end times, New York Times bestselling author Jonathan Cahn reveals the stunning mystery and what it has to do with your life.
Please welcome back to the 700 Club, Jonathan Cahn. I wait for your books. Seriously. So much in them. It's so amazing. This is the first time, however, in writing a book that you have placed yourself in the whole message.
Yeah, I usually keep myself out of it, but I was part of something. Something starts on the island of Cuba with Fidel Castro, and I gave him a prophetic object that ended up actually unfolding. And that was one of them. That's kind of like the beginning of the mystery. And then one was in Washington, D.C. on a day that really changed the course of America. But I don't try to be, but I witnessed it. So yes, that has that.
Well, and you have to comment on what you have seen and heard yourself. Yes. Talk about the stranger in the living room.
A man came to me in a living room, I never remember, and he said, you need to come to Cuba, and Fidel Castro was opening up the island for 1 month, you know, for religious freedom. We want you to open it up with a shofar. So I did. I said yes, and at the end of it, the Lord kind of brought me to give Fidel Castro an object, and the object is linked to the mystery of the Jubilee, which is part of this. And that object actually, I gave him a message. I wrote it down. It actually gave the exact how long he would have as reigning, to the year and to the exact day and to the hour. And this mystery of the Jubilee really opens up what's been happening to America, where we are and where we're going.
We came through 3 years of COVID, and you really look at the symbol of that, the history of that kind of tribulation. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a mystery in the Bible. One is the Jubilee, that in the 50th year, everything kind of reverses, goes back. The other one is that what a nation or a culture does to their children, if you shed the blood of the children, it's going to come back. If you take life, it's coming back. And one of the forms it says it will come back is, in Hebrew, it says the word dever gadol, which means a great plague or pandemic. Now, when did America begin really shedding the blood of its children? It was actually 1970. That's when abortion on demand came. Well, when is the 50th year, the year of Jubilee? It's 2020, the year when the plague comes. Now, the thing is, it gets even more stunning, because the actual day that abortion began its entrance was in the New York legislature with a bill that was January 20th, 1970. Go 50 years later, January 20th, 2020, that's the exact day that the plague enters the land. You have the children, and to the 50 years, a Jubilee to the exact day. Remember the day when everything kind of fell, when Trump came on the thing, and there was the quarantine, the lockdowns, the middle of March. It was March 11th. It was called the day that changed everything. That's when everything fell. Go back 50 years, March 11th, 1970, anything happened. That was the actual day that abortion began in America. It was 50 years to the exact day. Again.
When I read your books, I'm like, how does he know that? I mean, how do you correlate decades of what happened in a meaningful way to the Jewish community and then to what's happening in the world today?
It's like the harbinger. I can't reproduce how that happens. It's like the Lord leaves me with one thing, and then the next thing, the next thing. I could never reproduce it. You know, like an example here now. You know, when this all happened, like in the first 3 years with abortion, 1970 to Roe versus Wade, 73. How many children were killed? 1.3 million. When 50 years later, there's another 3-year period of Jubilee. It is 2020 to 2023. It's the plague. How many people were killed? 1.3 million, the exact same number. This is a biblical principle, but God is real, and you can't mock him. But this also leads to hope too. But it's like in everything. Even Trump is in this. Even January 6th there's a mystery. There's an ancient calendar that lies behind all these events that are happening in our time, and actually not only gives what's going to happen, but gives the exact dates, and that includes Trump. That includes everything.
Pretty incredible. Talk a little bit about, before we get to the hope, talk a little bit about where America's at today, because I think for a lot of us, we're deeply concerned about values that have changed, about morality that has changed, about spirituality in our country that has changed. Where are we, and what are you seeing?
Well, this is why I knew I had to write this book now. There's all sorts of mysteries, but they're all coming together. What we've been watching is we've been part of this gigantic mystery, all coming together to open up really a revelation, I believe, that the Lord is giving where we are right now, where we're heading, how to prepare for it, how to be strong, and the thing is, it all leads to this Josiah moment. That's why it's called the Josiah Manifesto. Josiah moment, and that is when a nation that has known God has fallen from God and is heading on the verge of judgment on one hand. On the other hand, God is giving a chance for revival. That's Josiah. That's linked to that time. And the thing is that's where we are right now. That's what this is opening up. We are at this critical time. This is life or death. And that without revival, there's no hope. Revival is the hope. But God is never finished. And so one of the things is that what this is what if God was giving us a way? And the thing is that where it's called the Manifesto was the last 100 pages are what do we do? Is God actually revealing what to do and how to stand and how to overcome and how we can actually touch this world, not just for this hour, but also for the last days. So it's all coming together to that.
Even the action of what to do is often a miraculous gift from the Lord, as in Josiah's time. I mean, the likelihood of him being a king who followed the ways of God was impossible.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, his father was horrible. His grandfather was horrible, and yet, despite that, he went against the flow of his times.
Yes.
And one of the things about this manifesto, the secrets are with him. You know, because God gave that, and that is that there is a way to resist what's happening. There is a way to actually stand against the darkness. There's a way. You know, he actually broke the altars down. We have the power to break altars of evil in this culture and also in our lives. And so he was revolutionary. I mean, and the time God, one of the things that the manifesto is that it's time we have to become revolutionary. God will give us. He's never finished. And the best could be yet to come for us, regardless of what happens in the world. But he wants us to stand strong, like Josiah did.
Talk about the shofar and its prominence in all of this.
Okay, well, the shofar is the power of the sound of God's power. Now, and the thing is that at one point, the thing is that we were in Washington, D.C., and God led us to do the return. And the thing is that it turned out that was on the ancient calendar was called the Day of the Return on God's calendar. We didn't know it, which is about repentance. Well, that same day, Trump decides to nominate Amy Barrett, which is going to be the vote that is going to overturn Roe versus Wade. On that day, it began when we're praying for that. So I said at the end, I said, okay, let's all, everyone, the power of God, let's have the shofars blow, and we're gonna proclaim the power of God, and they sound the shofar. That very second, it wasn't just, it was that day, the very second, at the same moment, Trump opens his mouth and begins the overturning of abortion to the sound of the shofar, of God's power, of Jericho. God is alive, God is real, and God is our God.
It's remarkable. You need to read it. Jonathan's new book releases today. It's just out. You can find the Josiah Manifesto wherever books are sold. We have simply skimmed the surface. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deb.
So eye-opening.